The year 2025 has fully brought me back into my 2020 era of watching anime, which is a feeling that I've missed so much. This year I finally started on some classics and also watched some more underrated anime, but in this video I really want to focus on the new anime that I started this year. In total, I watched 15 new anime that came out, and some of them are in their second or third seasons and other are completely new. While some have been disappointments, of the anime that I enjoyed, they've made such big impacts and all did their part in creating one of the best years in anime. Let's start with an anime that's been very popular but also very controversial this year. This series is of course Down Season 2, and despite its criticism for Momo, the main protagonist, being harassed in both seasons, I personally really love this series. Down had me hooked with its first season in 2024, with its fluid animation, its unique plot, its lovable characters, and the romance. I was actually so invested in this anime that mid-season I started reading the manga because I couldn't wait like a full week for the next episode to come out. While I understand how the scenes of Momo being harassed can make viewers uncomfortable, I don't think it was done completely untastefully. Specifically in this new season that came out this year, season 2, the scene with Momo in the bathtub, I didn't see the scene as fan service, I more so saw it as a chance to show how brave Momo can be in scary situations, while also emphasizing how like disgusting and creepy our main villains were at the time. But of course it would definitely be better if the story revolved around maybe college students instead of high schoolers, so I definitely see that criticism. But one thing that I think the show does really well is showing the strengths and weaknesses of every character and how all of them working together really form like a super good team. But my absolute favorite thing about this anime is the perfect mix between action and romance, which is something that a lot of other shonen animes really don't get right at all. So I'm really glad that there's finally a shonen anime that does romance right. For me, Dandadan checks so many boxes, so if you're like me and you love supernatural, like wacky type of anime, Dandadan is definitely something that you'd enjoy if you haven't started watching it yet. And while we're on the topic of the supernatural, this next anime actually had my skin crawling while also having me on the edge of my seat after every single episode. It's not often that an anime can actually freak me out, but The Summer Hikaru Died actually managed to do that. This anime is a supernatural horror mystery about a high school boy, Yoshiki, who notices his best friend Hikaru has been secretly replaced by a dangerous otherworldly entity. And the premise alone is already unsettling, but their decision to use like images of raw meat and really like nasty sound effects makes it so much more unsettling and creepy. But honestly, like that's what's good about it. Like, if you're somebody that's looking for like a kind of horror anime that's actually kind of scary, me personally, I was very much spooked by The Summer Hikaru Died. What makes the story so much more interesting for me is the fact that every action is so like unexpected. So Yoshiki's super stoic, nonchalant attitude in a situation that would have anybody else super freaked out, his relationship with Hikaru, even though it's not the real Hikaru, and the fact that Hikaru doesn't even know what he actually is. It felt like each episode left on a cliffhanger as the two tried to navigate their crazy situation while also trying to deal with the abnormalities that began popping up around town. The Summer Hikaru Died was one of my favorite anime releases of 2025, and I am so excited for the release of season 2. With that said, this year we also got season 2 of an anime that I've been hyping up since the manga started. I've been a fan of Kaiju number 8 since before the first physical volumes even came out. I was hyping it up online and telling everybody like how good it was, so I'm so excited that it's finally been animated. So if you haven't seen the first season of Kaiju number 8, it's about Kafuna Hibino, and he's a 32-year-old corpse cleanup worker, but he always dreams of being part of Japan's elite defense force, and a parasitic monster ends up entering inside his body, and it allows him to actually transform into one of those powerful monsters. And so with his new strength, he's finally able to try out again for the defense force so he can fight against the increasing threat of monsters. I really love getting the perspective of somebody that actually cleans up what's left of battles, because I feel like that's something that's not really touched on in a lot of other shonen animes, and I really love how they show how that perspective is super useful in battle. The first season I thought was really strong. The second season for me personally started off a little less strong. There were some moments where it was almost a little awkward. I felt like the soundtrack stopped playing at weird moments during a fight scene, and it was just, you know, maybe not as strong as the first season, but I definitely think the second half of the season picked up a lot, and now, especially with like the last few episodes that it ended on, I'm super excited for season 3. I really love the design of the new numbered monsters that they showed at the end of the season. I felt like it was less like your basic monster that they showed earlier in like the first season, and it looked more like something you would see out of JJK with the style of like monster design that they had. And that's something that I really love about Kaiju number 8, is how they kind of stray away from your basic shonen stereotypes. Like, for example, the main character is actually an adult and not a teenager. I feel like the female characters are actually on par strength-wise with the male characters, and there's no fan service, which is always a plus. Despite all of that, it does still have your classic shonen corniness, and with the main character being an adult, I feel like the themes could have been a little bit more mature. Like, for example, I don't think it's really necessary for the characters to say something along the lines of, oh, if I push through and if I believe I can get through anything, like, you know, it's not really necessary. Like, it could have been geared a little bit more towards like adult audiences, but I do still really love the show. And all of that aside, I feel like my main issue with not even just season 2, but just the anime in general is the art style. And like, oh my god, I'm just really devastated about this, of course. With the art style, a lot of the times, it's not even the style, like the art is just genuinely bad. Like the proportions of the face, like actually look bad. They make some of the male characters look chopped when they're not, and that was the most disappointing thing ever. Like the end of season 1, I don't even remember his name, but his reveal actually had me shocked, because in the manga he does not look like that. And even just the main character Kafka, like they make him look so derpy and weird, and no, like in the manga, like he's a grown man and he looks as such, like he doesn't look so derpy and unserious. So that was a little disappointing. However, this does not compare to the biggest disappointment of 2025. The first season was so amazing and it did the manga justice, but this third season was so bad that it's become one of the worst rated seasons of this year. One Punch Man is one of my favorite anime alongside Mob Psycho 100, and I loved season 1, I love season 2, I literally rewatched those multiple times, and I waited years for season 3 to come out. I was a freshman in high school, and I literally remember sitting in French class scrolling on Twitter when I saw the teaser for season 3, and I was so hyped for it. And I am now a freshman in college. Damn. When the third season finally came out, and I could not be any more disappointed. I didn't think that the first few episodes were that bad, but they just kept getting worse and worse, and they kept snubbing some of my characters that I was really excited to see. If I remember correctly, her name is Captain Mizuki. I was so excited for her to come on screen, and she looked, her scenes were so bumpkin and unserious, and they didn't look good at all. And it's not like the anime started out like this, and that's the worst part. It would be one thing if season 1 also looked like season 3, but season 1 was one of the best animated seasons of anime like ever. It looked so amazing, and it actually did the manga justice. And that's the big thing too, is the horrible contrast between how the manga looks and how season 3 looks. Like, you're better off just reading the manga, which is exactly what I'm gonna continue doing. Like, I'm just gonna ignore season 3. At this point, it is what it is. What happened happened, and all I can hope for is that season 4 will be way better and it's gonna have its comeback. One anime this year definitely did have a comeback, bringing in new fans and reviving a franchise that started in 2001. The Devil May Cry is based on a video game about a demon hunter named Dante, and in the series he fights a villain that threatens to open the gates of hell. And it was pretty short with only 8 episodes, and it is on Netflix, but I thought it was so fun. It was really interesting to see the backgrounds of the characters and how all of those backgrounds tied into the main story, and it was also really interesting just learning more about the world that they live in. I never played the video game myself, so I'm not sure how well it lives up to it, but the show alone I think is really great. Another plus is the fact that you can listen to the English dub without worrying about that really cringy like anime accent that a lot of dubs have. That's my main thing with dubs, I don't even mind them. It can just get a little corny from time to time, but this series I really do love the dub. What's also super evil is that season 1 ended on a cliffhanger and I really need to know what happened next. So I'm super excited for the season 2 that's coming out May 12th, I'm pretty sure, of this year, 2026. This next anime has a really similar vibe, and I especially love it because of its similarity to Cowboy Bebop. Lazarus is about a group of criminals tasked to find Dr. Skinner, a man who created Hapna, a drug that was created to be a cheap and effective painkiller. However, this drug kills its users after 3 years. Dr. Skinner gave everyone 30 days to find him for the cure, otherwise most of the population who had already taken Hapna would die. Lazarus was directed by the same man that directed Cowboy Bebop, and you can really tell from the characters, the soundtrack, and the action scenes. Episode 1 starts with Axel getting an offer to join Lazarus before breaking out of jail with a super dramatic action sequence. And the animation for these scenes are so smooth and just look so flawless. And don't get me started on the jazz soundtrack because that makes it so much better. Even though Lazarus was set on Earth, I really love the world building and how cool all of the futuristic cities look. I really like the idea that like Cowboy Bebop and Lazarus were set in the same universe, with Cowboy Bebop being like way in the future after Earth is already cooked. Another thing I really enjoyed about this anime was the messaging. In the story, Dr. Skinner was really fed up with being ignored about the way that climate change was progressing and how nobody seemed to care about, taking action to help change the earth for the better. Even though we're all obviously aware of climate change and pollution, I think it's super important to continue bringing these issues to light with our film and highlighting the importance of protecting our home. If you haven't seen Lazarus already, you definitely need to because it's one of the few anime this year that finished in one season with 13 episodes. As much as I loved a lot of the anime that came out this year, some of them were just not as impressive. Okay, the people that like Tougen Anki are the same people that think that Solo Leveling is like peak fiction and the best thing ever written. And don't get me wrong, I love Solo Leveling, but let's be real, like story-wise, it's definitely not the best anime out there. This story was honestly so average that it was actually just bad. Like I stopped watching after episode 4 because it just was not worth my time at that point. There was nothing that set the story apart or made it unique. It starts off with your basic revenge story with the main character who awakened his powers and joins a group to avenge his father, who was killed by the enemy group. He joins a class and it has your stereotypical characters, stereotypical fan service and useless female characters. And then in his class he finds a talented classmate who of course becomes his rival. And the plot is just so boring, the power system is boring, the characters are boring, like, do I need to continue? Like, there's just nothing that makes the series interesting. And I feel like when the story is so basic, you need some type of redeeming quality to set it apart. Like for example, Solo Leveling, even though it's a very basic story, there's like not that much to it, at least the power system is unique, it has good animation, and at the very least it's just entertaining. But Tougen Anki doesn't have any of that. And if I'm being real, I really don't care if the series gets any better, because for me personally, there are so many anime that's good off of episode 1. Why should I wait more than 4 episodes for a series to get good? Like, the next anime is a prime example of how to hook viewers with episode 1. It has an amazing power system, amazing story, good soundtrack, and each episode has you anxious to see what happens next. Gachiakuta is by far one of the most popular new anime that's come out in 2025, and for good reason. It has a super unique art style, the characters are diverse and lovable, the setting is new and well thought of, and don't get me started on the soundtrack, it is so good. If you haven't kept up, Gachiakuta is a dark fantasy anime about a teenage boy named Rudo who is framed for murder and exiled from a floating city into a wasteland of garbage. There he joins this group called the Cleaners to fight monsters and seek revenge against the corrupt elite. This anime has clear themes of classism, pollution, value, and all of which have very real world implications. That was definitely a tongue twister, like, that almost got me. There's a lot to love about this series, but for me, my favorite is just all of the diverse characters and all of the mysteries that keep it super interesting. Character is something that I really value in a story, so I like anime like Bleach, Psyche K, Demon Slayer, because there's so many different characters for you to fall in love with. And something that Gachiakuta does really good is not only just having like a really big set of characters, but also slowly incorporating their backstories as the series goes on. I also really love the mysteries in the anime, which is something that I feel like a lot of animes miss. Like, there's so many little details that are left unexplained that really make you interested in like the world and the story that's going on, and I feel like a good comparison is Steven Universe, which I know sounds really random, but if you think about like when Steven Universe first came out, you didn't know anything about the diamonds, you didn't know anything about like fusion, or you didn't even know a lot about the actual characters, and so as the series went on, different stuff got revealed, and it just built up so much hype for the series, and that's what I feel like Gachiakuta is really doing well. And while I feel like a lot of the 2025 anime that I've mentioned so far have gotten a lot of hype, some of the new anime that I've watched actually have been a little bit more underrated. Sword of the Demon Hunter is about the character Jinta, who was once a warrior but became a demon and devoted his life to hunting other demons. The first episode was long, which was about 40 minutes, and I thought it was a really good first episode. The animation is super beautiful, and I feel like the story is very compelling, but despite that, I felt like the episodes kind of took a path that I wasn't expecting. I thought the series was going to be a little bit more action-packed with like a shonen feel, with Jinta looking for revenge, but it ended up being a little bit more slow-paced and kind of slice of life-ish. So I was a little confused on like where the plot was going, but I can't speak too much on it because I haven't actually finished the series. I don't plan on dropping it, but I just haven't taken the time to finish it. And this series definitely has more of like a Demon Slayer feel, just a lot more slow-paced and a little bit less devastating aside from the first episode. So I feel like it would be a perfect anime to just like throw on after a long day, you know, just chill and watch after like a long day of school or work. And while I kind of like the slowness of this anime because I feel like it makes for a more relaxing watch, some anime this year have been so slow that it's actually painful. The Water Magician is about Ryo, who is reincarnated into a fantasy world with monsters, knights, and magic. This series also had a long first episode, which was about 40 minutes, but nothing happened. Like, I don't really watch fantasy that much, so I don't know if I'm just biased against fantasy, but it was like so boring and nothing really interesting happened. I didn't see anything compelling. We weren't really introduced to any new characters, and obviously new characters were introduced in later episodes, but I didn't even take the time to watch like a 40-minute first episode and you can't even bring my attention. Like, I don't know, like I was saying earlier about Tougen Anki, I don't think you should have to wait that long for a series to get interesting, and with a 40-minute first episode you should really be able to pull in the viewers and make them interested in the series. And everything that they showed in that 40-minute episode could have been cut down to like 20 minutes and maybe save the next 20 minutes for something more interesting. Like, I couldn't tell you anything about how the plot was gonna go, what the series is really even about. And I feel like those are things that you should be able to kind of tell from the first episode, especially if it's 40 minutes. So I did unfortunately drop this anime after one episode. I did try watching some other fantasy anime that were new this year, and some of them weren't that bad. The Secrets of the Silent Witch follows the main character Monica, who is a genius magician who is the first person ever to use magic without speaking. Because of her amazing talent, she is part of the Seven Sages as a hero who can defeat powerful beasts all on her own. She developed her skill to silently use magic because she's super shy and hates interacting with people, which I think is like really cute and funny, being a prodigy basically just because you're so anxious. But despite her anxiety, she was put out of her comfort zone when she was tasked to protect the second prince. I didn't end up finishing the series because I wasn't super invested in it. Again, maybe this is just me preferring action over fantasy, but I think it would have been a lot cooler if it was more action focused. Like the first episode, like the first clip seemed so cool, and it seemed like the perfect setup for like at least just like a more action based anime. Like the fact that she has this whole new technique and she's part of the seven mages and she can defeat beasts on her own, just for it to turn into like a schoolgirl kind of stereotypical story. Like, I don't know, I wasn't really seeing where the story was going or how it'd be that interesting. So I don't know, maybe I need to continue watching it. This series is another one where I didn't finish it, but I also didn't drop it either. It was just okay to me, but I don't know, I probably just need to give it more of a chance. So if y'all finished that series and you really liked it, let me know, like, if it gets better, if you think I would enjoy the full series, if maybe there's a little bit more action down the road, because I would definitely love that. But even though I've been giving fantasy a really bad rap, there was one fantasy that I did actually really enjoy this year, and I actually finished the entire season. Clevatess follows the story of a lord of dark beasts named Clevatess and Alicia, one of the 13 heroes, who helps him raise a newborn infant, Luna. And this infant, Luna, is the heir to the throne of one of the 5 human kingdoms. In their journey, they learn about magic and some of the truths behind the royal kingdom. And this anime actually had my attention from episode 1 because it kind of took a turn that you didn't expect, and compared to the other 2 fantasies that I mentioned before, it had a lot more action and actually established what the plot was going to be early on. And I really liked how the main protagonist was like a strong female character. Obviously not every female character in anime needs to be super strong, but I do really hate that like weak, useless anime girl trope, so it's always refreshing to see a female character who can actually stand her ground. I also kind of appreciate how her gender is actually acknowledged in the story. Like a lot of characters end up underestimating her strength because she's a woman, and of course she's given the opportunity to prove them wrong. While this anime didn't necessarily captivate me as much as some of the other animes that I mentioned, I did find it entertaining, of course enough to finish the season, and I don't know, I might be tuned in for season 2. And while most of the hyped up anime that came out this year deserved its flowers, there were some really highly rated anime that I just didn't find myself enjoying. The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity was a super highly rated manga that got an anime this year, and it was very anticipated, but as much hype as it got, it unfortunately just was not for me. Like the female lead himself said that he thought the female protagonist was in middle school, and that's when I knew that it wasn't for me. Like, I know, maybe I'm being a little strict, but the height difference, like, I don't even like seeing height differences like that in real life, and definitely not in my TV shows. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's not for me. I really do not like that type of dynamic where the girl looks like a child And then the guy that's meant to be in high school looks like a full-grown man. Like, it's giving uncle and niece, not romance. So unfortunately, I did drop that series. There are plenty of other romance animes out there that I need to start watching, and there are just some other romances that I just enjoy more that I could rewatch or something, so I know there's better out there. And there was one less anime that I dropped this year, and this one might actually ruffle some feathers. Takopi's Original Sin was one of the most highly rated anime in 2025, and I'm sure it's for great reason. The story follows a cheerful alien named Takopi, who came to Earth trying to spread happiness. However, it found a bullied and neglected girl, Shizuka, and I don't have much to say. Other than that, I don't find this entertaining. Like, when I'm watching anime, I want to laugh, I want to smile, I maybe want to cry, but not in that way. Like, me personally, when I'm watching film, there's nothing interesting or entertaining about like a 6-year-old that wants to kill herself. Like, I'm sorry, I don't find that entertaining. So this series definitely just wasn't for me. I know that it was very highly rated, and I'm sure that it's written well and all of that, but I think I watched episode 1 and it was, I'm not even sure if I finished episode 1. And even with that aside, I really don't like Takopi, like the little alien. Like, me personally, it's just a little too unserious, and I don't, like, maybe for comedy, I don't mind something so unserious, but I'd prefer something more realistic, like, I don't know, not some chibi little cartoon looking alien. Like, does that make sense? Like I'd want something more realistic, basically. Okay, we've come up to the last anime of the 15 that I watched, and before I move on to the last one, I just want to say thank you guys so much for making it this far in the video. I really appreciate it. But this last anime has proven me wrong about something that I thought that I would always hate in anime, and I really hope it inspires more animation to do something similar in the future. Of course, had to finish off the video with a banger, which is To Be Hero X. This one is actually a Chinese animation, and it's about a world with heroes, but their powers are actually based on trust and not based on some type of magic. So if the population trusts in your abilities, then your abilities will be stronger, but your abilities are also based on the thoughts and opinions of said citizens. So for example, if your citizens think that you can teleport from place to place, like, that's gonna be your power. And then in this world, the opposite of trust is fear, which is like, I don't know, I guess this like kind of poisonous substance that like makes the characters rampage. But I think that this is so unique, like a very unique power system. I've never seen anything like that, and I really like how it kind of takes into account like real world issues with like social media and things like that. Like, one of the social media sites is called FOMO, which I thought was so funny. Like, yes, that actually really makes sense for a social media site. But in the series, every 2 years, all of the top heroes go in like a tournament, and then the number 1 ranked hero that wins the tournament is named X, and that's kind of what the series is about. Like, all of these heroes trying to fight to become X, and then the mystery of the hero who actually holds the title of X. The storytelling is very unique as the perspective changes from one character to another. I don't know if you guys read the book Wonder as a kid, but kind of like that, where the perspective keeps changing. And if the differing perspectives don't keep your attention, then the art style definitely will, because the art style changes from like a 2D comics type style to more like a 3D style that kind of looks like Arcane. And normally I hate 3D animation in anime because it normally looks super cheap and it just doesn't look good, but the 3D animation done in To Be Hero X genuinely looks so beautiful. And this is the first time that I've seen an anime or any type of animation use the animation style as part of the storytelling, especially near the end of the series when you start to learn more about the Hero X, and the art style starts to switch to reflect the powers of the Hero X. And honestly, I've just been really excited with the direction that animation is going in general. Like again, Arcane, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, even Puss in Boots, and now To Be Hero X is like one of the animations that I can include in this list. So I'm really excited about new animation film, just taking like this new style with like the mix of 3D animation, or just using more vibrant colors, or just really experimenting with the style of the animation. I think it looks so cool every time. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, I do really love how unique the power system is, and I really liked how they kind of touched on the negative effects of the power system. So for example, again, with the citizens dictating your powers, the powers end up becoming a lot more extreme and the heroes end up suffering because of it a lot of the times. And so I just thought it was really cool how they touched on that aspect of the power system. If you haven't already seen To Be Hero X, I definitely think it's worth watching, and I'm so excited for season 2. Of course, there are a lot of anime that came out this year that I haven't talked about. If it's like a second season, I may have just not seen that series yet, but let me know anything that I missed down below in the comments and I'll definitely be sure to check it out. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, please make sure to subscribe because I have a lot of videos like this one coming out soon. And as always, I hope everybody has an amazing rest of your day.